This whole situation, the story which we're going to talk about the revelation that there was a row between Harry and William while the Queen was on her deathbed. I can understand why there was, because Meghan wasn't allowed to go to Balmoral at that particular time. But Harry must have made this known to this...
Omid Scobie?
Yeah, I was trying to think of a description.
Oh, sorry.
For Omid Scobie. But there you are, Scobie by name, Scobie by nature. Royal insiders are said to be furious over his claims that Omid Scobie has alleged that the Prince of Wales ignored Harry's calls as he raced to be at the Queen's deathbed.
Well, this comes after the Princess of Wales yesterday held a speech on early childhood, and she brought together world experts in the field of child development, including the former Prime Minister Tony Blair.
Well, here's Grant Harrold. He's a man that knows the workings of the royals. I wouldn't doubt, Grant, that the row would have taken place. I mean, let's just rewind and recall. So many of the royals were already at Balmoral. Harry was in London. A plane had to be found to bring him to the Queen's deathbed. And there was a lot of talk that she was already dead by the time that he got there. What's your take on what you're hearing?
Good morning as well. Good morning, Eamon. As you said, there's obviously a lot of discussion about this. People are always asking me, the kind of details, which I'm, like yourselves, I'm only aware of what's out in the public domain. It's possible the Queen had already passed, and obviously the people with her were obviously the King, as we know, her daughter, Princess Anne, and the other royals all gathered to be there. Obviously, Harry, for whatever reason, wasn't there, but I'm guessing that it might have just been as simple as maybe he couldn't get there on time. As you said, he was in London. But there is the other angle you've mentioned, that maybe with Meghan not being allowed to go to Balmoral, maybe there is something going on behind closed doors that we'll never know the truth to that. And Omi is obviously a friend of Harry and Meghan. So it's possible maybe they've had a discussion about it. But you never really know, do you?
You never really know, and it's always so ugly, isn't it, hearing about what goes on behind the scenes with these sorts of things. Sorry, some loud accompaniment to these pictures. Listen, let's talk a little bit, shall we, about the Princess of Wales, the future Queen. Lots of the papers talking about her purple reign, dressed in her beautiful purple suit. Eamon wearing his tribute to her today, in his purple suit as well. There you go, purple reign. But there she was, giving a big...
colour of royals.
Very royal colour indeed. And there she was, giving her speech in front of Lord William Hague and Sir Tony Blair, bigwigs, but also kind of showing that a lot of this is almost skirting on political. How did she do?
I thought she did very well. I mean, what was interesting is that the thing about the Princess of Wales, even when I knew her from quite a few years ago, she's somebody that does care about people in general, and obviously children. And I noticed it was commented recently about how when she speaks to children, she brings herself down to their level so she can engage with them. I think we've seen this before in the past with another Princess of Wales. And she's got that, can I say, that human touch, I believe. And I think with the speeches, I think it's amazing every time I kind of watch her and think how she's basically, over the last 15, 16, 17 years, lent the job. Obviously been married to Prince William for about the last 11 years, but, very much has lent the job along the way. And, when you listen to her make these speeches, they're from the heart. She's very passionate about what she talks about. And the charities that they're involved in, they've picked them as well. They're very active with them.
When Isabel was talking to you about the Princess of Wales, I reached for the wrong Princess of Wales. Seeing the reenactment in The Crown. This is the final series of The Crown coming up. And
yes.
Elizabeth Debicki playing Diana. Now, this will bring back memories for you in your time in royal service.
Do you know, Eamon, Princess Diana passed a few years before I joined the royal household, but she was, very much still talked about, very much like any family, part of a family. I'm going to be watching this with huge interest because, from what I understand, it will kind of go up to the years of when I entered the royal household, and it'll be interesting to see what they're going to portray, how they're going to put it across, because there's been this big debate, hasn't there, about fact or fiction, and about how there should be disclaimers and things, which I think even the palace have got involved in. So it's going to be interesting to see with this final season what they're going to do about that, and what they're going to say, because there is people like myself who are around who are aware of what's true and untrue, and it'll be interesting to see again if the palace do anything or if they stay quiet.
Yeah, it's out on Netflix today, this final season, and I, for one, will be binge watching that, and I'm sure I won't be alone in doing that. Eamon, you haven't watched any of it, have you? But we were looking at the pictures of Elizabeth Debicki, and you're not convinced at her depiction. But I don't know about you, Grant, but for me, when you see her in motion and with the voice and the eyes and everything, I sometimes find myself forgetting that I'm watching fiction. It's genuinely incredible acting.
I have to agree. In fact, some of the episodes that I've watched with previous actors that played the Queen, there's been a couple of times even I've looked and thought, wow, that's amazing. You know, so they do, obviously they're very careful when they do the casting. And all I can say is if it does go up to the kind of time when I was there, I'm hoping they manage to get Brad Pitt to play my play my part.
Absolutely, they will. Quite right too. So you'll be watching it.
I will. It's just from curiosity as much as anything, because in the last season there was a couple of things that just didn't make sense. There was things that I thought just wouldn't happen. Of course, I didn't really say much about it at the time, but this time I thought it's going to be different because I said this is coming into the years when I was there or just before. So it will be interesting to see how they and it's not just about, I should mention, it's not just about the storylines. It's just what goes on. I'm interested in what goes on behind the scenes. I was actually asked many years ago when it all began, I had an agent who came to me and said that they were looking for a historical advisor or somebody who could advise on the Crown with the playing tables and things. And I remember thinking, oh, this will come to nothing. So turned that one down.
Oh dear, well, there you go, kicking yourself with that one. This is the first time that Kate will be in the show as well, isn't it? She's arriving on the scene. And again, like you, Eamon, I've seen the pictures of her and I've thought, oh no, that's nothing like Kate. Nothing like Kate. But I'd be interested to see how she acts. Because Kate's got a very specific, soft voice, hasn't she?
She has, in a specific way about her persona, how she does things. And this is when I was there. You know, I was there, during those university days. And I remember that very well. And I've seen some of I think there's been some footage leaked of them up at St Andrews University.
I've seen that,
and it's going to... Yes, it's going to be interesting again to see how they portray her and Prince William. You know, because again they're two quite unique characters, and I don't quite know how they're going to mirror that. And maybe they will. But as you said, sometimes you look at some of the bits that I've seen, and I thought that just doesn't sound or look like them. But I suppose part of it is they're trying to tell a story as well, but then again that goes into the other area about the fact of fiction. Yeah,
but just sticking to fact for a moment, when you were in the royal household and you remember Kate arriving on the scene, was there a buzz? Was there excitement that you might, that your prince might have found his princess? Do you remember it, or?
Do you know, I'll tell you what I do remember. Yes, of course I remember that, but I'll tell you what I do remember. Do you remember there was a point where they separated?
Yes.
And it was big news.
It was awful.
I remember being I was heartbroken.
So was
I. Absolutely gutted. And I wanted to say to William, can we not rethink this?
Yeah,
can we not do something?
Propose.
Because I wanted it to be, I wanted to think that in years to come, as which has happened, that they would be the princes and princess of Wales, and I could have the honour of thinking I actually was there at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I really wanted them, to get. I wanted the that thing about having the faces and the tea towels and all that. I wanted that to happen, but I remember as if it was yesterday when the separation happened.
So do I.
I didn't discuss it, obviously, because it wasn't the kind of thing to do. But I was heartbroken. But when they actually got back together, I remember saying to them, I was thrilled that they were a couple again.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're glad you're happy. Thank you very much indeed.
Waiting, it paid off in the end, didn't it?
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Grant.
I was just looking at you two licking your lips over. I wish they had got together.
Oh, it was just the royal
I
love
was heartbroken.
story.
Are you
Me too.
heartbroken?
You're so cynical. It's a little bit of joy. I mean,
No,
I say
it's
heartbreak.
not. No, do you know what I think? It's outsiders imposing their will. Those two should be together. Those two should love each other. Those two can't break
Well,
up.
we were right.
No,
Because
but it's
look how
nobody's
well
business.
she has adapted to the role and how wonderful she'll be as Queen.